Hello and welcome. We are so thrilled to have you joining us for today's deep dive.
We really are. Thank you for being here.
If you are learning English, well, you have landed in the perfect place today.
Exactly.
Today, our mission is to explore a very common, a highly relatable human experience. We are going to look closely at the chaotic, messy morning rush of a university student.
It's a great topic.
Yeah.
And there is a specific reason we are focusing on this busy morning scenario for you today.
Right.
By looking at a student who is rushing and stressed, you will learn natural, everyday English.
The real stuff.
Yeah, you're going to hear the exact words and phrases native speakers use when they are talking to their friends.
Because sometimes the English you find in formal textbooks feels a bit stiff.
It does. It really does.
It doesn't always reflect how people actually talk when they are tired or when they're running late or just living their daily lives.
That is such an important point. Knowing the formal rules of English is great, but knowing how to speak naturally.
It makes you feel much more confident.
Yes, more confident.
So let's talk about our source material for today. We are looking at a script from an English learning series called Minds in Motion.
That's right.
And we are focusing on a specific installment titled The Student Life, Part 1, The Morning Rush.
The original text features two guides. Their names are Mark and Clara, and they help explain the situation to us.
And through them, we follow the story of two university students.
First, there is Alex. Alex is having a terrible, very stressful morning.
A really bad one.
Yeah. And then there is his friend, Mia. Mia is the complete opposite of Alex. She is calm, she is prepared, and she has everything under control.
Before we jump into their story, I want to make a quick promise to you, the listener.
Oh, good idea.
We are going to take our time today. We will not rush through the material. We know you are learning, so we will speak clearly and comfortably.
And we will break down every interesting word and idea.
Right. We want to give you a real understanding of how to use these phrases in your own life so you can easily follow along and learn.
Are you ready? Let's start by picturing the scene.
I love this part.
Imagine you are walking onto a large, busy university campus. It is late morning.
My sun is shining brightly.
There are hundreds of students everywhere, moving from one building to another.
The source text gives us some wonderful background sounds to really place us in that environment. First, we hear the sound of chatter.
Chatter.
Yeah, chatter is that busy, continuous background noise of many people having conversations at once. It's a very social, energetic sound.
Right, the chatter of students catching up with each other. But cutting through that chatter, we hear heavy footsteps on gravel.
Let's explain gravel.
Good idea. Gravel is a surface made of tiny, loose stones. When you walk on gravel, it crunches softly.
But when you run on gravel,
It makes a very loud, fast, aggressive crunching sound.
someone is definitely sprinting across the campus.
Finally, in the background, a distant university bell starts ringing. It's announcing the time.
That person running across the gravel is Alex. He is running incredibly late.
He is. And by the time he reaches his friend Mia, he is completely out of breath.
Being out of breath is a very common phrase.
It is. It means your lungs are working so hard from physical exercise that you cannot speak normally.
You have to bend over, put your hands on your knees, and just take deep breaths.
I think we have all been in that situation. You are trying to say hello, but you are just panting.
Mia actually tries to stop him because he's moving so fast. She calls out to him, telling him to wait and slow down.
She even mentions that she can't keep up with him. That means his walking pace is too fast for her to walk comfortably beside him.
So when Alex finally stops, he takes a huge breath and says, "Good morning."
Which is where the story gets interesting.
And honestly, a little bit funny, because saying good morning right now reveals a lot about Alex's state of mind.
I noticed that too. Mia is quite surprised when he says it.
Yeah.
She immediately reminds him that it is almost 11 o'clock.
It is nearly 11 a.m. Half the day is basically over.
Most people have been awake, working, and studying for hours.
This specific detail shows us that Alex's internal clock is completely broken.
Let's define internal clock. Your internal clock is your body's natural sense of time. It is what makes you feel sleepy at night and awake in the morning.
For most people at 11 a.m., their internal clock tells them is the middle of the active day.
But for Alex, his brain genuinely feels like the day has just started. To him, it feels like early morning.
It is such a confusing, disorienting feeling.
It really is.
You look up, the sun is high in the sky, everyone else is moving normally, but your brain is still waking up.
And his physical appearance completely matches that confusion. Mia looks at him and points out that his hair is going in every direction.
It is a classic sign of someone who overslept. But Mia notices something even more embarrassing about his clothes.
Oh, yes. She tells Alex that his shirt is inside out.
Inside out. This is a fantastic everyday phrase.
It is very useful. Let's talk about wearing something inside out. I think everyone has done this at least once when getting dressed in the dark.
Absolutely. When we say a piece of clothing is inside out, it means the parts that are supposed to be hidden are visible on the outside.
Right. Things like the seams, the rough stitching, and the size tags.
And the smooth, correct side of the fabric is actually pressed against your skin. It is a very visible, very obvious mistake.
It really is. It is the kind of thing you usually notice when you look in the mirror before leaving the house.
But Alex says he didn't even check the mirror. He was in such a panic that he just threw his clothes on and ran out the door.
Which really highlights the feeling of panic. Think about how stressful it is when your sensory details don't match your energy level.
What do you mean by sensory details?
Like the sounds around him, the bells are ringing, which usually sounds nice. But to Alex, it sounds like an alarm warning him he is out of time.
Oh, I see.
And the heavy footsteps on the gravel just add to his rushed, frantic feeling. He is completely out of sync with the world around him.
It paints such a clear picture for you, the listener. It is slightly funny to imagine someone sprinting across a campus, gasping for air, with a messy head of hair and the tags of their shirts sticking out.
They are so exhausted that their brain simply doesn't have the power to realize they aren't dressed properly.
It is amusing, but it also points to a bigger problem. His messy appearance and his panic aren't the real issues.
No, they are just the result of a bigger problem from the night before.
This naturally leads us to look at his sleep schedule, or rather, his lack of a sleep schedule.
Let's break down the timeline Alex gives Mia. In the source text, he explains that he actually woke up at 10:30 a.m.
Okay, so 10:30.
But he didn't immediately get up. He stayed in bed until 10:55 a.m.
That 25-minute gap is very telling.
Very telling. He was awake, but his body simply refused to move. He was lying there, completely drained of energy.
And the reason he was so exhausted is because of what he was doing in the middle of the night.
Right. He tells Mia he was at his desk until the early hours.
The early hours. Let's explain that. When native English speakers say the early hours, they're talking about the time right after midnight.
Like 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the morning.
It is pitch black outside, but technically it is the early hours of the new day.
And he was using those early hours to study for a history exam. He finally went to sleep at 3 a.m.
3 a.m., we have to consider the mental pressure he was under.
An exam is a major formal test, usually at the end of a semester. It is much more serious than a small quiz.
It carries a lot of weight for a student's final grade. And history exams require memorizing a massive amount of detailed information.
Alex specifically mentions he was trying to memorize dates, the names of historical figures, and the details of different battles.
He describes the feeling perfectly. He says his brain was spinning.
Spinning. That is such a great descriptive word.
It really is. It is a very common way to describe mental overload.
When you say your brain or your head is spinning, it means you feel dizzy from having too much information thrown at you.
Your thoughts are moving so quickly and chaotically that you cannot focus on any single one. You feel entirely overwhelmed.
I know that feeling well. When you try to force that much data into your memory when you should be sleeping, your brain just rebels.
Now, the original guides in the text, Mark and Clara, use this moment to introduce two excellent idioms regarding sleep habits.
Yes. Night owl and early bird.
I am curious about how native speakers view these terms. Does calling someone a night owl have a negative social meaning? Does it mean they are lazy?
That is a great question for our learners. No, night owl is not generally an insult.
Okay, good to know.
It is simply a description of someone's natural rhythm. Just like the bird that is active in the dark, a night owl is a person who feels most energetic and works best late at night.
Many artists, writers, and even some students proudly call themselves night owls because they genuinely do their best work when the rest of the world is asleep.
So Alex was certainly acting like a night owl by studying until 3 a.m.
What about the opposite? What do we call Mia?
The opposite is an early bird. This comes from the idea of a bird that wakes up and sings at sunrise.
An early bird is someone who naturally wakes up early, feels fresh immediately, and loves the morning. Mia, his organized friend, is a perfect example of an early bird.
The text also highlights a very useful phrasal verb that Alex uses. Stay up.
Stay up. I've always wanted to break down the nuance here. If I cannot sleep because I am worried, did I stay up? Or does the phrase imply I did it on purpose?
Usually stay up implies a choice. It means you purposefully delayed going to bed.
You fought your natural urge to sleep because you wanted or needed to do something else.
You might stay up to study for an exam like Alex. Or you might stay up to watch the end of a long movie. You made the decision to not go to bed.
But as Clara points out in the text, there are serious consequences to staying up late, especially for students.
She mentioned she used to think she was a night owl. She would stay up to work, but the next morning would be a total disaster.
And we clearly see that disaster happening to Alex. Even if you think you work best at midnight, the next morning is often terrible.
Staying up until 3 a.m. to force your spinning brain to remember historical battles means your body does not get the recovery time it needs.
When the sun rises, you aren't refreshed. You are simply surviving.
Think about your own experiences for a moment listening to this. Have you ever had to stay up late to finish a big project for work or study for a test?
How did you feel the next day? Usually, your brain feels foggy, your reactions are slow, and just doing normal morning tasks feels incredibly difficult.
It is a heavy, sluggish feeling. Your brain basically stops accepting new information.
And this lack of sleep directly connects to how Alex physically started his day, which brings us to the specific action verbs the script uses.
Let's talk about the vocabulary of rushing. Because Alex woke up so incredibly late, his entire morning was a blur.
He tells Mia he rolled out of bed. He had no time to eat eggs or toast.
And he just grabbed a coffee from a kiosk near the gate.
There is so much natural English packed into that sentence. Let's start with the idiom rolling out of bed.
It creates a very clear, somewhat humorous mental picture. Usually waking up is a process. You stretch, you sit up, you maybe sit on the edge of the bed for a moment.
Exactly. But when you roll out of bed, you skip all those steps. You are waking up so late and you are so tired that you have no time to shower or look in the mirror.
You literally just let gravity pull you sideways off the mattress. You roll onto the floor and go.
I want to point out how native speakers actually pronounce this in everyday conversation. We do not say every single word perfectly clearly.
That's right. We don't say rolled out of bed.
It sounds much more like rolled out of bed. Try saying that smoothly with us. Rolled out of bed.
It is a great example of connected speech.
Now, let's look at the verb grab. Alex said he grabbed the coffee.
To grab means to take something very quickly with your hand because you are in a hurry. You don't take your time.
You grab your bag, you grab your keys, or you grab a snack.
This is a word that carries a lot of cultural weight in English-speaking countries. It implies a very informal, hurried situation.
I am glad you brought up the cultural weight. You wouldn't use grab in a highly formal setting, would you? Like you wouldn't tell a judge in a courtroom, I am going to grab my legal documents.
No, you definitely would not. It is much too casual for a courtroom.
But in everyday life, modern society is always in a hurry. We use grab constantly to show that we are doing something quickly and informally.
You ask a coworker if they want to grab a bite to eat for lunch. It means you aren't going to sit down for a slow, fancy meal. You are going to eat quickly.
So when Alex says he grabbed a coffee, he means he bought it as fast as humanly possible. And where did he get it? He got it from a kiosk.
Let's explain kiosk simply. A kiosk is a very small shop. It is a little stand or just a window on the side of a building where you buy quick things.
It is not a full store where you walk through doors and push a shopping cart down aisles.
Right. You stand outside on the sidewalk, you order through a small window, and they hand you your coffee or your newspaper.
They are very common on university campuses because students rely on them.
This tells us a lot about modern campus culture. Students rely heavily on this quick convenience just to survive a busy schedule.
Without that fast coffee kiosk near the campus gate, Alex wouldn't have the energy to function.
Speaking in surviving his schedule, Alex didn't just grab that coffee because he liked the taste.
No, he grabbed it for a very specific reason: to survive the scary situation waiting for him in his next class.
Let's talk about his destination. He is running to Hall B for a lecture with Professor Sterling, and the class begins in exactly 10 minutes.
10 minutes is barely enough time to walk across a large campus, but the real threat isn't the time.
It is the professor. In the text, Mia reminds him that Sterling is strict.
We need to explore what it means to be a strict teacher. When I hear the word strict, I immediately feel a little bit of stress.
Me too. A strict person demands that rules are followed perfectly, with absolutely no exceptions.
A strict professor does not care if your alarm didn't go off, or if you're up until 3 a.m. studying.
They expect you in your seat when the class begins. If you are late, Sterling might give you a very angry look.
Which is incredibly stressful for a tired student. The source text even mentions that Professor Sterling might lock the door.
Can you imagine? You've sprinted across campus, Your shirt is inside out, you are gasping for air, and the door is locked.
It is the ultimate nightmare. And let's look at the type of class he is rushing to. It is a lecture in a lecture hall.
A lecture is when a professor speaks to a large group. And a lecture hall is a huge room, built much more like a cinema or a theater.
There are rows and rows of seats that slope upward. There could be hundreds of students in one room.
And during a lecture, the professor's the only one talking. They might speak continuously for 2 hours.
This creates a remarkably dangerous combination for someone in Alex's condition.
Think about his physical state, sitting in a dark, huge lecture hall for 2 hours after a very late night.
Lecture halls are usually quite dark because the professor is showing slides. The room is quiet except for the voice of the professor.
It is incredibly easy to fall asleep in the dark. It is practically a giant bedroom to a tired student.
Your eyelids start getting heavy, your head starts to nod.
That is exactly why he is hoping his kiosk coffee will keep him awake. He is using caffeine as a weapon to fight the darkness of the lecture hall.
It sounds like a miserable experience.
However, the source text does offer a small glimmer of hope. Before he sprints off to face Professor Sterling, he and Mia make a plan.
They agree to meet later at 1 p.m. in the cafeteria to talk.
Having that plan must be a huge relief for Alex. He just has to survive the locked doors, the strict professor, and the dark room.
Once it's 1 p.m., he can finally relax.
But looking at this stressful morning rush, it is a terrible way to start a day.
It makes you ask, is there a way to stop it from happening?
Thankfully, the original guide in our text, Clara, offers some very practical advice for students who struggle with the morning rush.
Let's review her tips, because simple habits can completely change a person's morning.
Clara's first tip is simple. Prepare your bag and your clothes the night before.
Let's explain the simple logic here. If you stay up late like Alex, your brain is too tired the next morning.
Making decisions, even small ones like choosing which shirt to wear, feels too hard.
But if your clothes are ready, you do not have to think when you roll out of bed.
You just put on the clothes that are waiting for you. This prevents wearing a shirt inside out.
Because you prepared the shirt the night before when your brain was actually awake?
It is a great strategy.
Yeah.
Now, Clara's second tip is a bit more surprising. She advises drinking plenty of water.
That is surprising. Most people immediately think of grabbing caffeine. Why water?
Clara explains that water sometimes helps wake you up even more than caffeine in those first few minutes.
Think about it physically. You've been asleep for hours. Your body has not had any hydration.
You wake up mildly dehydrated, which makes you feel tired.
So drinking water immediately hydrates your body and tells your brain that the day has begun.
Mia is an early bird, so she probably uses habits exactly like these to stay organized and calm.
Imagine how nice it feels to wake up and see your bag already packed for the day.
It connects directly to your own daily life, whether you are a student listening to this or a worker commuting to an office.
Taking a few minutes the night before completely removes that out-of-breath panic.
It absolutely does.
Well, let's wrap up today's deep dive by bringing all these lessons together. Let's summarize the natural English phrases you learned today.
We discussed the night owl, the person who thrives late at night, and the early bird who loves the morning.
We explored the phrasal verb stay up, meaning you did not go to bed.
We talked about rolling out of bed when you wake up late and tired.
We looked at the fast verb grab and how you might grab a coffee from a small kiosk.
We also discussed strict professors who lead lectures in massive lecture halls and the serious exams students take.
Congratulations on mastering these everyday words. Learning these idioms helps you sound natural.
It helps you sound like you are talking to a friend rather than reading from a textbook.
We want to reassure you that whether you are an early bird or a night owl, you can confidently use these words in your own daily lives.
You really can.
Before we go, we want to leave you with a final curious thought based on the end of our source text.
We know Mia is an organized early bird.
And the source mentions she is heading to her favorite quiet spot, the massive university library, to focus on her research.
So ponder this for a moment. If late-night studying makes a student chaotic and stressed, like Alex,
what kind of powerful focus and secret discoveries await an organized early bird in the absolute silence of a massive university library?
it makes you think about how your environment changes how you learn.
It definitely does. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep practicing, and we will talk to you next time.